Sit! Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
And we're talking Dynasty teardowns. Not tear down your show.
Nope.
Or not your show, but your team.
Right.
But tear down from players.
Right. On a related note, related but unrelated, before the show, I teared down my shirt a little bit.
You did, Hulk Hogan.
I just gave one of these. Like it was a little tight in my armpit. I just pulled one of these things, and this is one of my older shirts,
Dude,
and
you're bulking up.
It ripped a little bit. Yeah,
it's a little problem.
I get a little tear.
A little beefy.
Do you remember Zagar used to be the pocket tearer?
Yeah.
If you ever wore a pocket T-shirt, dude would stick two fingers in your front pocket and tear your pocket. What a jerk, man!
It was a really. I never had front pockets.
Yeah.
I never got pocket teared.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I always thought it was cold blood. I was like, you just ruined that dude's shirt. And he thought it was hilarious.
He thought it was so funny. It was always when we were drunk.
And it was funny.
It was always when we were drunk at the bar or something.
Pocket terror.
Pocket terror. So not really. I mean, terror, tear. I mean, I tear down.
Kind of. I mean, it's pretty much the exact same thing as what you're talking
pretty
about.
much the exact. It's a long bow.
Tear down your front pocket down to a different player. Yeah. So tearing down is just when you think a player's ADP is pretty equal to another player, probably like around 2 rounds or more lower, right? We do pretty consistent. I was talking about that with quarterbacks the other day.
Yeah, the tear down is, I don't know that you explained it all that well just now.
Probably not. It's explain anything well.
It's when we see a player of similar value have like a maybe a 2-round difference in ADP.
Yeah, at least 2 rounds. It could be more.
Right.
So, yeah, it's pretty much the gist of what we're going to talk about here today.
True.
Tearing down. And that's, I mean, we've been saying this a lot lately too. It's just kind of like, what are we doing during these rookie draft times and trades? Like, you're always just trying to find value. So if you get equal value, which would be production, right? Like, so if you're going to get equal production out of a player, then you get some bonus sprinkles on top, right? It's like, I ordered like a 2-scoop ice cream cone, but you got a 3-scoop. Like, that's awesome.
That's a bonus day right there.
Like, you don't have to eat it all, but it's there if you want to.
Sure.
It's better than like all of a sudden you get done, like, I just wish I had one more lick.
I wish I had one more bite is how I would phrase that.
I don't usually have that problem. I usually eat whatever's in front of me, and I go all the way.
Ice cream is, I don't think I've ever stopped eating ice cream before it was gone.
No.
I'm trying to think if I ever have. And I worked at an ice cream place when I was like.
I know, big scoop.
Yeah, when I was a teenager.
I literally was in Cooperstown this week, and we were, and like, everybody's getting dinner, and like I didn't like any of the food at this place outside, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to eat any of this stuff. Like, everybody's ordering stuff and didn't look that good either. I'm like, I don't want any of that.
Yeah.
But it's an ice cream place too. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get like some ice cream.
I'm gonna go make everyone here jealous and go get ice cream.
No, the other parents had gotten ice cream, and they made me jealous. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get some ice cream because my wife said I couldn't drink because it was her night to drink. We had to drive back to where we were staying.
Very responsible of you.
Little did she know that I just ate an edible instead, and she couldn't do anything about it.
Very irresponsible of you.
By the time we left, I was way later hours.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But if I won't drive, I even had a drink.
Yes.
So I go get the ice cream, and I was like, hey, like this looks good. It was like the strawberry shortcake or this, and the girl's like, oh, this one for sure. And I was like, oh, what? Medium or large, like in a cup, because I didn't want it was hot out, so I didn't want to get a cone. I'm sitting there like in front of all these parents,
just
like
melting.
Yeah, like a porn star on this ice cream cone, like giving it a rim job around the cone edge. You know what I mean? Because it's melting so fast with sticky hands.
Yes.
Yeah, it was me, porn star Rich, on an ice cream cone. I wanted to not do that, right? Because I know myself eating ice cream. I get very sexual. Very sexual.
Unfortunately, seen it.
So I'm like, what's the difference between the medium cup and like the large cup? And she's like, it's like she showed me the cups, and I was like, what do you recommend? And she's like, well, how hungry are you? I was like, well, I didn't eat dinner. She's like, you should get the large cup. And she handed me. And this thing was like a kettlebell.
Was it a batter's helmet? One of those, like the full size batter helmet?
No, but close enough, right? In value. And I get it, I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm gonna eat all of this ice cream. It was like a pint, like a full pint of like ice cream. I guess I could eat a pint. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, there's no way. I slammed it. Could have had a whole nother. I was like, there could be another 30 bites in this thing. I would have ate it all.
Down the head. It's just not one of those things that gets old for me. So I'm with you, man. No matter how much is there in front of me, as long as I put it in the bowl, I'm eating it. It doesn't. I mean, or somebody else puts it in the bowl. In your instance.
Yeah. If you don't like ice cream outside the fact that you're lactose intolerant, Like there's something that's a you problem. There's got to be something.
There's so many flavors. I feel like there's something for everyone out there. You just got to find it.
Yeah. So finding what you love. It's like dynasty players, right? Yeah. You got to find what you love, find where that value is, and see like, hey, where can I pivot here? Like, where do I add some depth? A couple seconds, another first round pick. I need a running back. We're gonna throw in one of these veteran running backs. You know, like Joe Mixon's lost value. Maybe J.K. Dobbins as a discount. You know, James Conner. Like these old veteran running backs are obtainable when people want to kind of like, hey, I don't want to give you my first. You don't really want a second. Depending on where your team is, I want to win now, like a good running back, a veteran receiver, things on those lines. So when looking here at some of these players, we're going to start at the running back position because you and I both have a couple running backs, and our wide receivers actually tie into each other. Yep. So we're going to do those second. So my first case here, and I don't have the ADP up in front of me, though I had it earlier, is Isaiah Pacheco to Aaron Jones. And when I look at Isaiah Pacheco's ADP of 100 overall, and he's running back 26, so it's not like he's high. But to still see him like ahead of Mark Andrews, Devontae Adams, Tucker Kraft, Jaden Reed, and even other running backs like James Conner, DeAndre Swift, Brian Robinson, Travis Etienne, Tyrone Tracy, Tony Pollard, Zach Charbonnet, Trey Benson, and then Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones is where I'm going.
Yep.
It's quite shocking to me because I am completely out on Pacheco. Hurt last year, I know.
Agreed.
But
yeah,
the fact that they re-sign Kareem Hunt, they draft Brashard Smith, and I really do think that Pacheco doesn't thrive in the passing game, and we know how Andy Reid wants to use the running back in the passing game. I think there is a chance for Brashard Smith to become a factor this year. But the big thing is they brought back Kareem Hunt. The news I've said it many times on the show where they actually offered Josh Jacobs a significant contract, and Josh Jacobs was like, I'm not playing for Kansas City. Right. Tells me like, hey, this is a position they feel like they can make an upgrade at. And they draft Brashard Smith. They bring back Kareem Hunt. Pacheco's been hurt. It's the last year of his rookie deal. He's a 7th round pick. He's not getting extended, okay? If he signs with another team, it's going to be a backup duty. So not only is this a short-term window, and that's why I want to go with Aaron Jones, because everybody's going to view Aaron Jones as a short-term window.
Totally.
Well,
yeah.
right?
I mean, he is a 1-year type of guy to me. I don't know how far into the future you see him going.
1 year.
Yeah, that's kind of.
His deal's only 1 year for $7 million.
I think that's how you have to look at him in general as an asset for anything.
Which is fair. Different from a running back. So if you're looking at this from a contender window and you need running back help, I think Aaron Jones is a fantastic dynasty buy. Yeah. Definitely right now when people are like enthused with some of these, like you could be in the late second round, right? Picks 2-9, 2-10, 2-11, 2-12, and there might be a tight end on the board or one of these other running backs that somebody wants, like Bashaw Tootin or something. Anybody.
Yep.
Brashard Smith, right? That somebody else likes. But you're like, hey, man, I'm trying to win now. I think Aaron Jones is a fantastic pickup for you. He ended up finished as running back 14 last year in weeks 1 through 17. And 1,056 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, 30 catches, 233 yards. And it really is crazy is I know that he's turning 31 and 25. But what he did last year, you're like, wow, running back 14, that's okay. He missed 5 games.
Yep.
So
and they were what kind of injuries were? It was like a hip injury,
hamstring.
Hamstring. Okay.
Yeah. So he had a hamstring injury, misses 5 games, still finishes the year as running back 14 overall. He averaged 14.2 points per game weeks 1 through 17. He averaged 2.85 yards after contact. That was 8th best in the NFL. His 4.9 yards per carry, 12th in running backs. And what I really love is they already had a really solid offensive line there. They went out this offseason. I kind of mentioned it last week when I was talking about by J.J. McCarthy. Like, wow, I was so excited about it. Where they signed the both Colts guards and the center. And the center was former Pro Bowler. And then they drafted guard Jackson out of Ohio State in the first round.
Totally.
So they really bolster the interior of that offensive line. And I know they go ahead and out there and they trade for Jordan Mason. But, like, I do look at Jordan Mason as, like, yeah, it's going to be like a split backfield. But even when they had Aaron Jones early, they were splitting that backfield. So they had the opportunity to get a running back who I don't believe in whatsoever from a fantasy football perspective.
Isaiah Pacheco, you're talking?
Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah. And, could Pacheco be okay, like a running back 2? Yeah, probably. But Aaron Jones, like, floors a running back 2 to me.
I mean, I think what we've seen from Pacheco is a guy that came in. He was kind of this late round guy and did more than anyone thought his rookie season. His second season, he started catching some passes, but missed a little bit of time. Only played 14 games, and then last year we really saw him, miss a considerable amount of time. I think he only played like 7 games last season.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton.
So Pacheco is a hard guy for me to trust, in just given his draft capital. And the fact that they keep bringing guys in, they went and drafted Brashard Smith. They were looking, obviously, sniffing around Josh Jacobs, like you mentioned, last year in free agency. I think they've been looking to upgrade that situation. Obviously, Kareem Hunt is there, and I think fills that role. Pacheco had that kind of 1 year with 40-something catches, 44 or something like that. Not this past season, but the one before that. They brought Kareem Hunt in, and that kind of evaporated, and I wouldn't expect that to come back anytime soon. So now you're relying on a volume-dependent running back who can't stay healthy. You know what I mean? Like, and they just, I think in Kansas City, they're just looking for other more stable options there and more long-term options. So I'm with you there. Pacheco, I feel like that's an inflated ADP, and that will come crashing back down after kind of another season of what's going to happen.
I think he almost goes to zero value.
Yeah.
Like that's how I view him. And to have the opportunity to get a guy like Aaron Jones, again, who could finish as a low-end running back 1 to a high-end running back 2, where Pacheco, I think, finishes outside the top 24.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if he finishes outside the top 30. Definitely if it's on a carry basis of what he does.
Aaron Jones has always had the PPR floor as well. So I mean, last year 51 receptions, year before that 30. But that was only in 11 games. And then in the last, in 2022, it was 59, 52, 50, 57, or 47, 49. So he's always had that kind of base to hold him up as far as value goes in PPR leagues. So I think Aaron Jones is like I mentioned, a very short-term asset. But
turns 31 in 2025.
But Isaiah Pacheco is too. Like there's no reason, even though Pacheco is much younger, to see them much differently in my eyes.
And that's where I was looking to pivot off of. Even if so say you're like, okay, well I'm not trying to. I really can't win it. Like, what's the point? You are the Pacheco owner, but you're not like a true contender. I'm still trying to make that move for Aaron Jones if I can, so then I can trade Aaron Jones in season. Because at that point, even if I get like a second, I'm okay with it, right? Like
good luck
2 seconds.
Good luck in 2 seconds for Pacheco.
I think in season, yeah. Right. I don't think he's going to hold any value now. Could it fall out where like Kareem Hunt gets earlier? Or like he's just not. He lost. Of course it could. He's completely inefficient, and Pacheco's the guy, right? Like. Yeah, but they also invest a lot more. Like, now you have Travis Kelce, you have Rashee Rice, you have Xavier Worthy there.
If I'm a contender looking for a guy and both those guys are available, I'm going after Aaron Jones. You know what I mean? Like, because there's PPR upside there. With Pacheco, you still need to like score touchdowns and have a ton of volume, and like the game script has to go your way. But Aaron Jones in season, I think, is just going to carry more value. Period.
Yeah, I had the numbers there in the red zone. I think he's there. Yeah. So according to PFF, Kansas City's 25th ranked run play rate at 37%. So they're 25th when it really comes to like being really efficient with the football and the runner. And they had that cloudy mess there.
Is that in the red zone? Or is that just everywhere?
It was just overall.
Okay.
And what it says here is in the red zone. In the red zone, they're usually looking towards Kelce.
Yeah.
So
they're looking to pass the ball in the red zone.
They're looking to pass the ball
more than pound it in for sure.
So I think that's where it came out to. I can't remember if that was PFF. I can't remember. I wrote down the stat and I didn't back it up with that. But I just know they're 25th ranked when it comes to a run. And that was on PFF when I was digging in there. So yeah, this is the perfect lateral move for me. And honestly, for any team, I have Pacheco because he's the player. And if I can't get Aaron Jones, like I've said this before, I think it was on Nerd Show or whatnot. Like Pacheco falls in a category for me for a player. Like I'm unloading him for anything I possibly get. Like he's one of those players that I am so out on that like can I get like if I had this like worst case I need some receiver help, like I'd rather gamble on DeAndre Hopkins on the Ravens, and that tells you a lot.
Yeah, that does.
Right? So
I don't have any faith in that volume.
It's everybody needs running back help.
Sure.
So it all depends how your rookie draft plays off. But I think Pacheco still his ADP tells me he's still movable.
Yeah,
and that's why I went with like a guy. Okay, everybody's gonna look Pacheco as a 1 year window. What 1 year window can I move him?
Well, I think that ADP says maybe people are seeing him with a larger window, and that's where I think the error is, and I think maybe why he's got a slightly inflated ADP at this point.
And then Aaron Jones has an ADP of 127, running back 35 overall.
Yeah.
So, and again, startups is completely different than, making trades for players.
Of course.
If Aaron Jones on contender, it's going to be harder to get. But, I honestly, if I'm a true contender, I'd pay a second-round pick for Aaron Jones if I'm a true contender. And I need running back help, right? Because,
we've talked about second-round draft picks ad nauseum, you know what I mean? Those are, if you're contending, you should be looking to get rid of those because it's such a low hit rate. And you get somebody on your team that's going to help you. And whether or not that's now or wait till we're into the season a little bit, if you still think you can pull that move off during the season, then, obviously that's the best time to do it because you know what you're getting in Aaron Jones. You're into the season a little bit with him.
It could be a little harder, though, if he's running back, say he's running back 9 overall, right? It's going to be a little bit more pricier than it is here in July.
It could be, but if Jordan Mason takes more of the workload than we are comfortable with, maybe that price goes down.
Right. It's a gamble.
It is.
Listen, everything we do is a gamble in Dynasty, right? And,
yep.
and we were talking, you're right, talking about second-round picks. We're here in July, or almost July. And we have our old school rookie draft just started.
Yep.
And me and Matt were talking about the show. I'm like, man, here we are just already in July, almost July. And I had pick 111. He was just trying to offload it. And he got no bites. And it's like, man, dude.
Yep.
And this is one QB, not super flex. And I'm like,
so it's shallower.
Dude, already, there's nobody there I'm super excited about. You end up taking Colston Loveland. Great pick. Nice, solid upside. But then you're like, yeah, it's like him or Jaden Higgins or Cam Scatterby, right? None of those out of contender move the needle, make you feel more confident.
None of them move the needle. Right. Absolutely. Cam's Scatterby, but I can't justify taking Cam over Colston Loveland, the 10th overall pick in the first round, and a very special player. I'll just take him and hope, in 2 years he turns into a tight end that is a starter on my team. You know what I mean?
Great pick. Yeah. There's best value you can possibly get.
Sure.
I'd be excited about getting him there too as well, but it just goes to show you,
but for a contender, a guy that finished second in the league last year, I wanted somebody. I was hoping
win now.
One of those good running backs was going to drop to me, whether it was Caleb Johnson or RJ Harvey or somebody like that. I was hoping one of those guys would get me, and of course they did.
And it's why you can't say it enough about when you're in that window, moving your first for a player to just help you win.
Yeah.
If you take Jaden Higgins, can you turn into Nico Collins? Because Nico Collins was drafted as a second round pick, right in that range. Of course. Could you take Colston Loveland? He turns into the Trey McBride. Of course, right?
Yep.
But if that does happen, most likely, all those other players were Nico Collins, Trey McBride. It usually takes a couple years to find your way to get there, right?
Yep.
By then you're out of your window. Already, I want to win now.
Yep.
So give me the Terry McLaurins. Give me the guys and maybe Terry's a little bit more because we're a little bit more down on Terry now, but we mentioned Jerry Jeudy. We've mentioned Jerry Jeudy in the show for now 6 months. But hey, can I get my first and second to get Jerry Jeudy? Oh, you paid a first and second for Jerry Jeudy? Oh no, I gave up Jaden Higgins and Elijah Arroyo. Yeah. Oh no, for a wide receiver one.
Right. When you start putting names on it, that at this point, we don't know any one of those guys could hit in the draft.
100%.
Obviously, but both those guys can be complete busts. You know what I mean?
50-50 to be rosterable.
Right, exactly. So it is you really got to be honed in on what you're looking for. If you're in rebuild, get as many of those guys as possible because they're all lottery tickets. And if you're not, you might need to look for a different kind of avenue to make your team better, to push yourself over the top. So anyway, moving on to the next tier down player because we got off on a tangent there.
That's what I do.
I'm going to go another running back here. I'm going to go Bucky Irving down to Chase Brown. So right now, Bucky Irving's ADP is 36.2, so right around the beginning of the third round, basically the beginning of the third round. And last year, which is running back 7, last year he finished as running back 13, had 14.4 points per game, and he did play the full gamut of the 17 games. Obviously, he ramped it up a little bit. He started a little slow, and then towards the end of the season, he was
En fuego.
So, I understand the ADP jump and why he is where he is. But I think at this point, you're looking for value, right? Is he going to still be like that this year? Obviously there's been a change in offensive coordinator. Who knows what that brings as far as what they're looking for from the running backs. I'm sure it's going to stay pretty similar, but is it going to be the same kind of breakdown as they had towards the end of the season? Or, are they going to throw more passes to one back than the other? Who knows? I mean, there's just a little bit of uncertainty there. So for me, I feel like Chase Brown is a pretty comparable player as far as what you can expect from him from a size standpoint and explosion standpoint. I think Bucky does, a better job of making guys miss, while Chase Brown, if you're watching these two players play, is a little bit more of a straight line runner. But right now, Chase Brown is going 58th, almost 59th. So more towards the back end of the fourth round, whereas
running back 17.
He is, I got running back 16, maybe 17, whatever. But he finished last year as running back 10. So
16, yes.
3 spots ahead of Bucky at 15.9 points per game. And he only played in 16 games. So I think you're getting very comparable play at a reduced price. It allows you to maybe pass on that running back early if you're in a startup and take him a couple rounds later. But when you dig into the numbers a little bit, you look at the Bengals and it's kind of ugly. They were like second last in the league in rushing, rush attempts last year. They had 380 versus the 10th most for Tampa Bay. So they were up by around 483. And you're like, well, how do you make that? How does that equate? How does that work out in Chase Brown's favor? When you look at the breakout of the percentage of carries is kind of where things level off and even tilt a little bit in Chase Brown's favor. So he actually ended up getting 60.3% of the carries last year for the Bengals. I think he had 229, while Bucky Irving only got 42.9 with 207.
What are those like numbers from like?
I know. I wish I had the numbers from like week six on or something like that. I do not have them in front of me, because I'm sure that it would tilt it back a little bit. But I just wanted to kind of paint the picture that Chase Brown obviously fell into a perfect situation last year, but Zach Moss is still there. I know he's not going to be injured, so he might not get quite the 60% that he got last year. But I think there's no real juice in Zach Moss, right? And I think the Bengals have figured that out. I think
Zach Moss doesn't even make team. I'm not surprised. He doesn't scare me in the least bit.
Well, he redid his deal to stay there for this year.
Yeah.
So he is there this year.
Okay.
He's going to make that team.
Yeah. He doesn't mean anything.
But he means nothing as far as this breakdown to me.
His name might as well be Rashad White.
It might go down to 55%, but it's still going to be a very sizable amount of the carries, I think, for Chase Brown. And what we need to figure out is Bucky Irving's number going to be 42 like it was last year, keep him fresh, keep him explosive, or is it going to tilt some other way? It's not like Rashad White does good things in the passing game. He's never going to be a real super efficient running back between the tackles. Bucky Irving's much better at that. But let's not forget about Sean Tucker. Dude averaged over 6 yards a carry on the carries that he did have last year. So I'm just not sure how this is going to break out. While I think Chase Brown is going to be pretty much locked in to what he had last year. And to be able to get him 2 rounds later, I just think is enough value that for me, if there's not a big difference in these guys. Bucky Irvin's almost 23 and Chase Brown is basically 25, just turned 25 a little bit ago.
Yeah.
So there's not like a huge age gap there where I feel horrible going from Bucky Irving to Chase Brown. And I think this is going to be his 2-year window. You know what I mean? Starting now, he kind of had last year, and he's going to have this year and probably another year of it. And who knows what Bucky Irving is? I kind of see him in this three-year window, Bucky Irving. So maybe you get an extra year out of Bucky, but it's not this crazy swing that I think the ADP would indicate.
Yeah, see, this one's tough for me because I'm still not in on Chase Brown.
I knew you wouldn't be. I knew this
believer.
was going to be kind of a difficult sell just because you've never really liked the player.
And looking at Bucky Irvin's numbers here, here's his carries from week 1 on. 9, 7, 9, 10, 9, 14, 9, 9, 7, 13, 12, 25, 4 because he got hurt, 15, 16, 20, 19. So his carries did ramp up. He averaged over 4 yards per carry, almost over 5 yards per carry every game except for the Dallas game. So for me, like Bucky Irvin's a little bit younger. I think he's a better running back than Chase Brown.
So do I.
I don't believe in I don't mind Chase Brown to pass, catch, and roll. I don't believe in Chase Brown as a first and second down running back consistently. I really don't.
I just think from a fantasy perspective, they're going to end up being pretty close.
And that's the thing. Like, and if I'm being a realist, like, man, Chase Brown set up to repeat last year, and last year was dominant, right? Yep. Bucky Irving set up to repeat the second half of last year, and it's dominant as well. So I understand where you're coming from, the ADP, because I don't think I would take Bucky Irving where he's going. So I'm with you on that, like tearing down there. I just don't, for me personally.
Because Bucky Irving is in the conversation he's either the sixth guy or seventh guy. So he is, I mean, that's uncomfortably high for me. Him.
Me too, because there's no way I'm taking him over Trevion Henderson, right? Like, right. I'd probably, for me personally, I'd be a little bit more comfortable tearing down to like Quinshon Judkins, for example, compared to.
I was trying to find a player that was almost of a similar. Like, of course, I would take Quinshon Judkins.
But I mean,
I was trying to find a guy that, hey, this guy's 200-pound back. That there's going to be probably questions about his long-term ability to kind of be this guy. You know what I mean? And I think that is an okay conversation to have about either one of these guys. While Quinshon Judkins, dude, could be a complete beast for 6-7 years. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he could be like just an every down back. Where these guys, both of them. I think there's questions.
Okay.
And that's why I wanted to keep them together.
And I understand it. Like, I understand where you're going from, and it does make sense. I think the community values Chase Brown a little bit more than we do, even maybe in reflection on our ADP. Because what is he, running back 16? I can see him go a little bit higher, but
would it make you more comfortable if I said Bucky Irving down to James Cook?
No.
Okay. All right. Is it because you don't like James Cook, or
I'm really worried about where he's going to be playing in 2026?
Okay,
without that extension,
sure.
Where like I feel like pretty confident Chase Brown's going to be like. I think I'd prefer.
Let's say
Chase Brown to James Cook.
Let's say this crazy conversation happened a week after James Cook signed a 2-year deal with Buffalo.
Oh, I'd rather have James Cook.
Yeah, right. So the player, you're not nervous about the player so much as where he's going to end up. Like if he was in this situation long term, or even 2 or 3 years, you'd be fine with it.
And I think it's why I like Bucky a little more too. It's like, I mean, it's kind of how we play and value the running backs together, right? Like you and I still have the same ideology on stuff like that. Like first year contracts, find the outliers, hold on to them, right? Like Bucky's 22. Mm-hmm. He's got 2 more years on his deal. Like, I feel really good about. Like, again, you can make the same argument for Chase Brown, though. It's just I like Bucky Irving better on the field. So if I'm going to tear down from Bucky, like, I'd much rather, like, I'd be viewing, for me personally, not arguing what you says makes sense. If you can make that move, totally okay with it. If I can get plus for Chase Brown, it all depends on what that plus is.
Sure,
like for me, it would be more than others, for me personally.
Right.
I'd rather see if I can go ahead and get Quinshon Judkins or RJ Harvey and increase that plus as well. And now, obviously, Quinshon has a higher ADP than Chase Brown right now compared to our latest ADP. So, like, RJ Harvey is running back 19. So, like, I believe in RJ Harvey in that offense. Right. So, if I can get, and definitely with the latest J.K. Dobbins news, depress his value a little bit more. Like, if I can move Bucky Irving for RJ Harvey in a first, like, I'm all over that.
I generally, for these type of shows, I stay away from rookies.
Okay.
As far as, because I think that's an easy move. I think that's an easy one. You know what I mean?
You're taking the easy way out.
I'm taking the easy way out, and I don't want to do that. So that's why I stay away from those kind of guys. And I just try to keep the players as like as possible, not just tearing down from one guy and seeing another guy that I like. I almost want the same type of running back, the same type of player.
I get it.
So I try to keep them as similar as possible.
And you have me not down it, and I don't even like Chase Brown, but like I can live in that window. I said the big thing for me that I think the biggest thing that's going to change my plus for me, that the thing I don't like about the most is same kind of contract window it's just a 3-year difference, right? Like the fact that Chase Brown's 25 and Bucky Irvin's 22. Like, that's the thing that really, like, okay. And I think maybe that's why Bucky Irvin's ADP is probably where it is. Like, dude, he's just coming off a great rookie year, 22 years old. Like, not a lot of worries here. Like, we got 2 more. Like, I could have 3 more seasons of Bucky, 2 more seasons of Chase. And to me, like, I see it. I could see it where, like, Chase has a much stronger competition in 26. I think there's a much more likelihood that Chase has stronger competition in 26 and much stronger likelihood that Bucky Irvin's the man in 2026 in Tampa Bay.
Well, yes.
Their ADPs reflect it.
Yes.
Their ADPs fairly reject. Again, you understand too. The ADP reflects it. You're saying tier down because you're going to get similar value and get a plus.
You're going to get similar production. You're not going to get similar value.
Production.
Bucky Irving has more value.
Yeah.
And that's why he's being valued higher.
I meant to say production.
Yeah. But there were a couple. I mean, there was.
Did you go in the trade finder?
I did not go in the trade finder, but I was looking at some of the inside the five, like stuff you want to know about for the running backs. And both those guys are real close in that metric, like the rushes inside the five. Bucky Irving, 50% of the carries inside the five. Chase Brown, 52%. TD rate, 3.9, 3.1 for Chase. So their stuff rates are pretty similar. Actually, Bucky actually has a little bit lower, 41.1 and to 43.2 for Chase Brown. But all these numbers are very comparable, and that's what I kept seeing kind of across the board on all this stuff. Where they kind of differentiate, and as far as numbers go, is missed rate tackles. I can't seem to find it here, but Bucky Irving's, which is what you'd expect, is higher. And it's because he's laterally more explosive. He's just a different kind of player.
Yeah, Chase Brown does not have that in his game.
No, he doesn't. So that's kind of where the differences lie between those two players. But overall, from a production standpoint, Chase Brown actually outproduced Bucky in the entirety of the season. So
I can get down with it, man.
Yep.
I understand it. So before we get on our next players, our wide receivers, I got to tell you about a couple of our friends. Our first one's over at FastDraft. I've heard from a ton of people. They're having a great time over there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's best ball summer. It's a funnest thing to do during the summer. It's when I play. I really don't do best ball in season like get going. I really just kind of mess around in summer. Long drives, baseball games.
It's draft and then forget about it. That's what's great about it,
dude. It's the best. You draft the team.
Kill time.
That's it. Yeah, you're kind of like honing in, checking values on players.
It's your dynasty workout.
Yeah, do early. Like as a dynasty player, I love to do it and get early on the rookies, right?
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of success, and some of my players I get are these rookies. I think like the RJ Harveys, the Quinshon Junkins, the Caleb Johnsons, right? Where like I'll fade some of these guys that I think and get good value out of, and grab other players on their position. So best ball is just that. You have to draft a team and forget it. And in FastDraft, they're offering you an opportunity to get in there, enter a $50,000 contest, and draft a team within 5 minutes, right? Like it's called FastDraft for a reason. Like, hey man, I got a small break here. I want to scratch my itch of fantasy football. I'm gonna enter a FastDraft and get in here and draft a team real quick. So if you go to FastDraft, go to draftfaster.com and download the app. Use the promo code NERDS.
Promo code NERDS.
If you deposit up to $50, they'll match your deposit up to $50, 100% match. And use the promo code NERDS. They're going to give you some free money. You're going to have an opportunity to win some money. And we're going to hook you up right here at Nerdherd with the Nerdherd subscription as well. We try to support our partners as best we can. FastDraft's a great opportunity. If you want to check out all our services, right? I know it sounds crazy, but as July hits here, football is right around the current corner. Oh. The football expo is the first week of October or August. I feel like the football season starts right after that, after we leave that thing.
Yeah.
So we have
preseason's going on when we're there every year. Yeah.
2 months until football starts. So to have access to everything we provide you here at Dynasty Nerds, all you got to do is use that promo code NERDS. I can't even speak all of a sudden. Promo code NERDS. They'll match your deposit. We're going to hook you up with a free Nerdherd subscription for a full year. Dynasty GM film room from start to finish through rookie season. And if you do it now, it's like a good dead season stop to feel like, okay, take a breath. Was Dynasty Nerds of value to me?
Yeah.
Right? And when you get all the new stuff that we have, because we just hired another developer, when you get all this new stuff we're going to get, which comes with a subscription, you're going to be like, wow, that was great value for me. And at the end of the year, I'm like, hey, do I stick around? Do I not?
It's an additional developer, not a new developer.
Now we have 2 developers. So like, I mean, that's what we say for every membership that joins. Like, it's not like we're here trying to put that money like you're buying us True Coffee. Like we're putting it back into the value that give you the best dynasty experience and give you the tools that you need to win your leagues, right? Because what do we do this? To help win leagues. We talk to help figure out paths so we can talk to each other to figure out how we win our leagues and bring the listeners along for the ride. So check them out. FastDraft. Get in there. Promo code NERDS. If you're already a Nerdherd member, we're going to give you a gift certificate to the merch store for a free T-shirt.
I need one of those after I ripped mine.
You need to get on FastDraft ASAP, buddy.
Can I get one of those coupon codes?
You get on FastDraft. Use promo code NERDS. We'll send you a coupon.
Will do.
All right. And then, of course, I got to tell you about our friends over at myffpc.com. You got to check those guys out. I mean, it's summertime. I'm talking about that itch of best ball. And you'd be like, Rich, that's fine. Like, I understand where you're coming from. Like, you want to scratch that itch so it doesn't turn into like a big rash. Just take it real mild. Like, I can't help it.
You need some cortisone. It sounds like
I need to go all in. I need to draft a dynasty team. And you're like, hey, I don't like have anybody else to join. Like, none of my league mates want to join another league. I don't want to be in the same league as other people I'm in a league with. That's not fun.
They can be redundant if it's all the same people.
100%. So, like, I put a lot of time in this. I have the Dynasty GM. I listen to Dynasty Nerds podcast. Like, I feel like I've taken my Dynasty game to another level. Like, I'm doing well in my other leagues. Like, I want to play in a higher stakes league. And in my FFPC, I'll give you the opportunity from a $75 league to a $2,200 league in any format you want. RotoViz, Superflex, Standard, PPR, Superflex, non-tight end premium, any kind of league you want to play and kind of dabble in. You might be like, hey, I'm going to use this promo code NERDS. I'm going to get $25 off. I'm going to join this $75 league. It's going to cost me $50. I'm going to dabble in this Superflex league and see what happens. Or Superflex. I've never played it. To see if I like it. And if that works, I can join a higher stakes league. And it gives you the opportunity to go out there and take the knowledge that you have. Because what's the point of having all this knowledge and being in just one dynasty league? What's the point?
It does seem like a lot for nothing.
It sure does.
Or a lot for a little. Rather.
If you go to my FFPC, you're going to find a league that fits your needs. And if you use that promo code NERDS, they're going to give you $25 off that league. And you have the security of being in a good league forever because those leagues never fold. They've never folded since they started the company because they manage the leagues. They always fill them out. So get in there, check them out, myffpc.com. You got to use that promo code NERDS for the free cash. Find a league that fits you and dominate.
I want to try one of those Triflex.
I do too.
You think our traditional league that will never even go to Superflex, if we push Triflex, they'll go for Superflex?
0 points. Oh, yeah, maybe. All right, guys, we'll meet you in the middle. They're
Shoot
get
high.
like 4 votes and start getting scared.
Shoot high for Triflex. And then once we get them to Superflex, it's just a matter of time before we get them to the Triflex.
It's all over from there.
Yeah.
I never played that. That'd be crazy.
It would be crazy. All right, so getting back to these tear downs, since you just talked for 45 minutes straight on those reads there, why don't I go on to my next wide receiver one here? So here I went from Nico Collins, who is currently going off the board 25.4. He's currently it's wide receiver 8. Last year he finished as wide receiver 23 overall in PPR formats. 17.6 points per game. Problem? Only 12 games. So
that's a problem.
That is a problem. I'm going to tear down from Nico to another problem child. Tee Higgins. From Nico Collins to Tee Higgins. Last year, his current ADP right now is 48, which is obviously right in the 4th round. He's also 26. Both of these guys are right around the same age, 26.2, 26.3, so there must be like a month difference there.
Age-wise, yeah, they are pretty close. Yeah.
The wide receiver, he's going off the board as wide receiver 18. Last year, he finished as the 17th best wide receiver in PPR formats at 18.5 points per game. The problem? 12 games. Both these guys last year only played 12 games.
And I do my stats because obviously this is going to tie in each other. I have Tee Higgins too. I like to look at stats weeks 1 through 17.
Okay.
Weeks 1 through 17, T averaged 19.3 points per game.
Cooking.
Tied for 3rd overall with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. So when he's there, I think same argument can be made for either one of these guys. When they're in there, they're difference makers, right? And obviously, Houston went out and got 2 guys in the draft that'll kind of supplement, and there's going to be some figuring out and kind of how are the targets going to be distributed now with Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll. I always want to call him Noel.
I know.
Jalen Knoll. How is this thing gonna kind of work itself out? Who's going to be getting all the targets, all that kind of all that good stuff. Whereas in the Bengals, we already know how that's going to work out. We've seen it work out. It works out just fine. Them as an offense, the Bengals actually led the league last year with catchable targets, 616 targets to go around there, and it was a pretty sizable lead there versus the Texans, who had 531. They were 11th. So a little bit more runs there with Houston compared to the Bengals, and obviously then a similar breakdown to what I just did with the percentage of carries and all that kind of stuff. Nico had 23.8% of the catches, or 23.8% of the targets. And Tee Higgins had 23.1 last year. So they're they're pretty close there as well. It's not. That's why I see these guys as very similar. So if you were to get that over an entire season, that percentage wise, you're looking at 142 targets for T versus 126 for Nico. So both high end guys. But for me, I'm going to wait 2 rounds and get the guy that has the better potential. There's just more out there in that offense, and they're so similar now. And that was before 2 guys got drafted onto Houston. So I'm going to stick with what I know in Tee Higgins and this offense. They're going to throw the crap out of the ball, and that's pretty much, he's locked in as a top 2 guy there. He's going to be getting those targets. He's going to get close to 140 targets as long as he stays healthy. And that's the thing with either one of these guys.
Yeah.
You look at their games played, and Nico Collins last year 12, the year before that 15, the year before that 10, the year before that 14. And then you go to Tee Higgins and it's the same story. 12, 16, 14, 16. So it's neither one of them has ever played a full season of football. There's always some sort of nick. There's always some sort of bruise where they're missing not an extended period of time, but a chunk.
It's my biggest beef with T. It really is. I really liked him coming out of Clemson. I really did. And pair it up with how much the Bengals throw the football and Joe Burrow, like, love it. But you mentioned, like, last year he missed 5 games. Finishes wide receiver 17. That's fine. It's honestly, last year was his best season ever. Definitely on a points per game basis. Not as a finish wise, because he's finished higher than that. And I have all this in my notes where he finished. And I'll get that when I get to my take.
I think it is his highest one. I'm seeing 17, 50, 51, 18.
I think it finishes wide receiver
24, 28.
Was it 20? So he was wide receiver 17 last year.
Yeah. 51 before that.
Yeah, super low before that. And
it was 18, 24, 28. So this was his best statistics.
He's wide receiver. Oh yeah, because that's DK. Okay, yeah, wide receiver 18. It's funny because I have him and DK Metcalf compared to, and with T, it's so soft tissue injuries, man.
Soft tissue issues, man.
It's hamstring.
Yep.
Hamstring. Like, 2020 he had a hamstring injury, missed a game. 2021 he had a shoulder and concussion, not a big deal. Missed 3 games. 2022 he missed 1 game with an ankle. 2023 ribs and the hamstring came back for 5 games. Last year, hamstring moved to the quad as well, and then knee and ankle. So my biggest thing with T is, because like you're going, I'm just kind of tie it out here, right? Because you're going Nico to T, and then I'm going from T to DK Metcalf. Mm-hmm. Like, so I'm moving all the way down.
Where's DK's ADP? Because
DK Metcalf right now has an ADP of wide receiver 28, and that's 79th overall, where Tee Higgins is 48th overall, wide receiver 18.
Okay.
And listen, I'm not arguing wide receiver 18 overall for Tee Higgins for what he's doing, because that's what he gives you, like wide receiver 18 overall numbers.
Yeah.
Like, so
it's a respectable spot for him.
Yeah. So I can't argue where he's going. That's totally fair. But sometimes I just can't get down with people's ADP. Kind of like how you mentioned Bucky Irving.
Mm-hmm.
So from Nico to T, I get it. Definitely add in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll. It really depend on that, what I got on top. Because if I got T, so I traded Nico for T, and a T was nice. The plus was nice. I'm like, okay, sweet. Now I can take T and trade that as well and move down.
Totally.
For me personally.
Yeah. No,
because I am hesitant on Tee Higgins for a guy who's literally never been a wide receiver 1. And I know, again, on a points per game basis, he was wide receiver 3, tied with Justin Jefferson.
I was going to say, that's the thing. Has Nico ever been?
I think Nico was the year
he
before.
Was 12. You're right.
He was 12.
He was 12.
So for me, it's just about, like, I don't think T will ever be a wide receiver 1.
I think, obviously everyone was hoping that he was going to go somewhere, right?
Yes.
And be the man, and that was going to be the end of it. He was going to be a wide receiver 1. I think he's a super valuable guy. Even there with the Bengals. And another reason I think to take him ahead of a guy like Nico is just look at
Not take ahead of a guy.
No,
back.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tear
Don't
back.
do that. Don't do that.
Do not do that. Tear back.
Nico, please.
Tear back and get something on
Easily.
top. Yes. There's in the back of my mind, you look at these two offenses, and you look at the head coaches that are running the teams, and Houston, they've got a very strong defensive head coach that is going to want to control the game as much as possible. If they, that's why they went out and got Joe Mixon, right? Is to be able to run the ball and kind of establish that thing, make it easier on his defense. On the flip side, the Bengals defense stinks.
Yeah,
they have to. They
gotta throw the football.
They have to throw the football.
That secondary blows.
It's very bad. So I think the opportunities that you're going to get with a player like Tee Higgins, even if he's second fiddle, are still greater than what you can get out of Nico Collins, even if he maintains that stronghold as the number one guy, and maybe his percentage even increases slightly with these new guys, which is kind of counterintuitive. Like you wouldn't expect it to, but even if it did, for whatever reason, increase, I still think there's going to be more opportunities there for Tee Higgins in that crappy, with the crappy defense the Bengals has.
Kind of like the Bucky thing. I get where you're coming from. Again, a move I wouldn't make personally. I'd much rather Nico. I just don't. I think Tee Higgins is the perfect player that opens the door for higher upside, because I think T's going to live in that range from 14 to 18, which is a championship caliber.
It's a great
player.
range, as long as he's not your wide receiver 1. It's a great range.
Exactly. So if he's your wide receiver 2, that's great. But if that's the case, if he's wide receiver 18, I'd prefer for a championship caliber team. Depends how my team structure is. He's my wide receiver 3.
Sure.
If he is my receiver 2, it's fine as long as I have another player of the equal value in my wide receiver 3 range. Where Nico does offer me okay, there's definitely a path for
sure
Nico to be wide receiver 1,
but he has to dominate. You know what I mean? He has to be the dominant.
He's got to stay healthy.
One, and then stay healthy.
And that's my thing for T too. Unfortunately, a lot of these times when you see this pattern of soft tissue issues every single year, that usually doesn't get better. What I've seen over my entire life of watching football for 40-something years.
I'm trying to think if there's ever been one where it's injury. Oh, all of a sudden I got that solved. I got that figured out. And I can't really. And for T, it just seems like it's okay. You go again, the ankle, the hamstring, then the rib, the hamstring, and then it goes from the hamstring to quad issues and knee. It's man, it's really starting to now it's a quad too. So now it's going full circle around this leg, right? We're gonna have to amputate soon. That concerns me. That seems to consistently pop its head up year in and year out. At some point, we're gonna oh, there's that hamstring again, right? Yeah.
It's hard for these kind of athletes, when they get bad in that area, for them to ever truly heal, because they don't ever take the time to let them truly heal. So for Tee Higgins, for me, he opens the door for, let me chase a guy who I believe can be not only possibly younger, but more consistent. And I have somebody who's doesn't fit that mold, but I think Tee Higgins, to me, one of my favorite players would be that I believe in a ton, would be a Mecca Buka, right? Okay, can I trade Tee Higgins for a Mecca Buka? Can I get a first on top of that, right? Is there a path there for that? Can I get that kind of value? Can I get something else that I really need on top of that? I think a Mecca could be equal to T as a floor. That's my personal belief. To a higher ceiling.
Totally. And again, I explained it on the last one. I try to stay away from those rookies because I just feel like it's kind of,
you're right. It's
easy.
It's easy.
And I'm looking right now at Nico Collins' injury history, and it is a lot of the same kind of stuff too. I mean, it's an unspecified shoulder injury, some foot injury, a hip strain, a groin pull, another unspecified foot, and then a leg calf strain and a hamstring strain. So it's a lot of similar soft tissue issue.
And I get it. I get it. And that's why I'm totally down with it. And I'd rather do that move where I'm with you. That's where we're going. Nico to T, and I'm going T to DK Metcalf.
And it's all on the one side too. All right side, from shoulder, hip, hammy, quad, or whatever.
Is that same thing with T? All the same hamstring too? I have to imagine it is.
I'll have to look it up real fast.
So while you're doing that, I'm gonna talk about T. Why DK Metcalf? Because I'm with you. They're saying to trade for this rookie is such an easy thing to do, and it's also a hard thing to do because people just draft this player. They're excited about him. They don't want to give him up either. Not now. Maybe in December. So I try to stay in that same mold as well, and that's why I went DK Metcalf. And DK Metcalf is somebody who's I'm not usually somebody go out there and say, hey, trade for this. I've been down on DK Metcalf. I have 0 shares. I'm in 20-something leaves. I have 0 shares of DK Metcalf.
I don't have any DK either.
Don't really even want any.
Yeah.
But again, if I have Tee Higgins and I can move down to DK Metcalf plus like a first, for example. And it's easy to say first because it's the most broad thing to throw out there. Like, sure. And I'm assuming it's going to be a late first for what I'm going to get it for. So any player of the equal value of a late first.
Do you think you'd be able to get that?
Probably not.
Okay.
But like,
that seems a little bit.
I want to use like a. So if I'm trying to win now, can I get DK Metcalf and a running back, a tight end that I need, a third receiver? That's like, can I get like what did they give on top? They get like, again, this isn't all a 1-for-1 deal. Dynasty deals take work, right? So when we start talking trades, it can't. Sometimes I'm like, okay, if I want Tee Higgins, DK Metcalf, it might have to be like, okay, Tee Higgins and this for DK Metcalf and this, right? Like I'm gonna give a little bit more to receiver, but I'm gonna take less at receiver in this guy's eyes, but I'm gonna get more at running back or more at tight end than what I'm giving.
Would you take like a Jake Ferguson on like that kind of tight end?
No.
And DK. I'm trying to find a guy that's kind of meh.
Tucker Kraft.
Okay.
In that range, running back wise,
because Tucker Kraft's probably second plus. As far as standalone value?
Probably,
right?
Yeah. So, but like in that range, right? Like I'd find somebody who I like in that range. A running back that I need. Like, can I get, like we mentioned Aaron Jones, right? Can I get DK Metcalf, Aaron Jones, and a second for Tee Higgins and like a third? I give a Tee Higgins and a third, right? Like, sure. So I'm getting a year older because DK Metcalf's 27.
You are generally more creative with your trades, I think, than I am. So that makes sense.
But you have to be sometimes. It's hard to make 1-for-1 deals all the time, right? Like people are like, hey, I want to throw this third on top. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna throw a third. How about like I want this and I want Aaron Jones, a great example. James Conner, something along those lines. Like I need wherever I need help at, right? Like, can I throw in my quarterback for an upgraded quarterback? I'm trying to offset that perceived value I'm trying to close the gap with that DK Metcalf and Tee Higgins by either draft capital or flopping players that other people might view where I might be higher on, like where I want to win, like an Aaron Jones. And DK Metcalf, 27. The thing is, him and Tee Higgins both signed contract extensions. DK Metcalf's is more.
Yeah.
So they're in the same boat together for almost, even though he's a year older, they're pretty much going to live in the same length of time window here.
A year makes no difference to me. No difference. As for, from a wide receiver.
And what I love about this is, when I talked about, we're talking Tee Higgins. I kind of view him as wide receiver 18. I think DK Metcalf historically kind of lives in that range as well. I have DK Metcalf's finishes compared to Tee Higgins as well. Of course, now I closed my document. Thank you, iPad.
I'll fill some time here. Tee Higgins, by the way, all the same side as well.
Exactly. So
as far as injuries.
So that's why we're concerned. Mm-hmm. So last year, Tee Higgins, you mentioned wide receiver 29, wide receiver 17. These are all weeks 1 through 17. DK Metcalf is wide receiver 32. We kind of understand why, the emergence of Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Totally.
2023, Tee Higgins, wide receiver 51, average 11.5 points per game. DK Metcalf is wide receiver 21, average 14.1 points per game. In 2022, Tee Higgins, wide receiver 18, 14.9. DK, wide receiver 16, 13.3. And in 2021, Tee Higgins, wide receiver 24, 15.7. DK Metcalf, wide receiver 14, 14.4. So DK lives in that kind of 14.4 range.
Yep.
What I love, though, is DK Metcalf goes to Pittsburgh, right? Aaron Rodgers said today this is last year. So it's just a one-year deal for Aaron Rodgers, then he's going to retire. But Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf are a really hand-in-glove fit, right? DK Metcalf is a great go deep, get the ball. Aaron Rodgers is a great chuck the ball passer.
Type of passer, for sure.
Yeah, so when you look at players like I have so many notes. Sometimes it's hard to go through it. I want to look to. When you look at like DK Metcalf's ADOT and where he catches the football.
Well, he's either a deep guy or he's going to be close to line of scrimmage. Like he is one or the other, and that's how he has always been since college. So I think, what is Aaron Rodgers good at? I think he's good at getting the ball out quickly on quick slants. So I think that's a nice thing. But he's also good at taking that drop and chucking it deep, and both of those things fit really well with what DK does.
We saw that with Russell Wilson from 2021 to 22. Like that, he had 29 touchdowns in those 3 seasons. His ADOT, by the way, is 13.9, 12 catches of 20-plus yards last year for DK Metcalf. For him to slide in there and be the number one guy And outside of Pat Freiermuth and Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin, there's not a lot of other options as we stand today in July.
They keep floating it that they're kind of looking to upgrade, but it's
trying to.
Dude, what are you going to do at this point in the offseason? Like, you done messed up, dude.
Their next big move, all the rumors are going to trade for Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
That's the rumor. So for me, when I look at DK Metcalf,
who will help your defense, that's great.
For sure.
It's still not helping your wide receiver core that you claim to be looking to make a deal for.
I think in 2025, we're looking at players that are going to live pretty close to each other. And I actually see DK Metcalf with a higher path to better production in 2025 for Aaron Rodgers.
He could be the man. He could be looking at one of his best seasons. I'm looking right now at his yards. 1,114 is what he did in 2023. That's his high, 1,303 in 2020 is his high water mark. He could get 1,200 yards pretty easily in this offense.
I easily think he could. And again, the ADP is so drastically different right now, moving down. That plus to me is equal to. Now, you have the unknown of 2026, who the quarterback's going to be. But they could sign a guy. They're most likely going to draft a guy. The next year's quarterback class is much deeper. Who knows if the free agents are going to be?
Kenny Pickett will probably be available.
He'll probably be available. Joe Flacco will be available. So, but look, the Pittsburgh will figure it out.
They will.
So, you mentioned before, Tee Higgins locked in, wide receiver 2. That's his role. The clear-cut number one guy who's going to get most of the yard. It's going to be Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf offers you that number one wide receiver upside. So
100%.
And listen, there may be a different wide receiver, but I think the big thing for me is like I would love to use Tee Higgins just a tier down. He's not a player like where his value is. It's fine, but like I don't want to live like here's a good example, like a Devontae Smith, right? Who might live in that wide receiver 2 range, like low end wide receiver 2 range, doesn't open the same doors that Tee Higgins opens. Definitely come up with last year because Tee Higgins coming off such a good year last year. I'm really trying to capitalize on that. And he has a new contract extension. So again, Devontae Smith doesn't open the same doors as Tee Higgins does right now in July.
I totally agree. I was looking at him as well as like when I was doing the Tee Higgins stuff, and he's at 63.5 as far as ADP. We're talking about Devontae Smith here. He's also 26, so all three of those guys are 26 years old. He's coming off the board as wide receiver 20. He finished last year as wide receiver 27 in PPR leagues, and he's a little bit less as far as points per game, 15.3. And he only played 13 games as well. So he's another guy that has missed a little bit of time, or at least did last year. And where he offsets things is both him and A.J. Brown have really high percentages as far as the targets that they're receiving. A.J. Brown is the highest out of any of these guys. He's like 31.1% of the targets went to A.J. Brown. But Devontae Smith, 25% of the targets. So even though they didn't throw a ton, they had like 404 targets available. He still was able to do pretty well because he has such a high percentage. Devontae Smith, we're talking.
Yeah. He's a fabulous receiver.
Yeah.
Just for fantasy, it doesn't work out as well.
He does not move the needle as much. And it's the 15.3 points per game versus these guys that are up 17, 18 points
100%.
per game. And it's all because A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown. You know what I mean? Like, this is another one of those situations where the other dude's just better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And listen, DK Metcalf, isn't it? We've mentioned Jerry Jeudy till we're blue in the face. He's somebody I'd love to move down from Tee Higgins for too, who's finished higher than Tee Higgins. So Jerry Jeudy falls in that category. I would love to get Jalen Waddle plus, to be honest with you. I'd be interested in George Pickens, but like the plus would have to be significantly plus. Chris Olave falls in that category.
Did we talk about George Pickens and that whole situation yet or no? I mean,
not yet.
Okay. I mean, I don't have any notes in front of me or anything like that.
We're gonna do. I mean,
we'll do the breakdowns of all that
division breakdowns.
Yeah.
But I've said repeatedly, like I'm really excited about George Pickens in Dallas. Also, CeeDee Lamb and him and Dak are like again really good fit.
He's in a position where he could possibly really have the best looks he's had.
Oh, for sure.
Ever. So I mean, this is
better, the best quarterback he'll ever have.
Right.
Hands down.
So I'm very interested. As long as he doesn't go full George Pickens, this could be a pretty good year for him.
Yeah. Working next to him is it's him himself,
right?
And the fact that every Steelers receiver that they get rid of outside of who was it that did really good in Denver for a couple of years, very
Sanders.
savvy rounder, Emmanuel Sanders.
Emmanuel Sanders.
Every guy they get rid of, turns to trash. Yeah. So, I mean, I do like. I got rid of a couple of George Pickett's, but I like George Pickett's in Dallas this year as well.
What happened?
But he beat himself. It just shows you how good of me and Garrett were talking about this, how good of a coach Mike Tomlin is to keep him reeled in and manage personalities. Because he was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin's going to work. It's like, dude, first of all,
you reportedly fled the country, correct? Antonio Brown.
Oh, did he? Because he's wanted for something. I never read that yet.
Yeah, he's wanted for attempted murder.
Was that what it was? Attempted murder? Oh, I did see that. You're right. Now I've had such a crazy week. My brain scrambled. I literally got back today. They're like from Cooperstown. It's been
supposedly he's left the country. That was just what I read. I have no idea where his whereabouts are. But yeah, it was like he got jumped or something and like fired a weapon at somebody. Oh. And he's wanted for attempted murder.
Yeah, when you're crazy, you do crazy things. That's why I don't hang out with crazy people.
Yeah. So.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow with is it pick your what is it tomorrow? Garrett sent us the show sheet.
Yeah, he sure did.
It is tomorrow's show. I gotta know.
It's
patience or panic.
Patience or panic.
So
I knew it started with a P, and so did you, and neither one of us knew the rest of it.
So Garrett's gonna send us a show sheet of players. Is it patience? You gotta have a little patience or a little panic. And tune in tomorrow and find out how we feel about these players.
Adios.